Welcome to the PrepNet, presented every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Talk2Me's Channel 14. Come join us to discuss everything about prepping and hear what others have done. Last week's topic introduced you to the different food classifications of fresh, frozen, dry, canned, dehydrated, and freeze-dried. You cannot just pick one. To maintain a well-stocked pantry, you will need to have a variety of foods from the different classifications. There is no single food classification that can provide everything you will need. Not only will the foods you pick to store help you in an emergency, but you will be able to use those food stocks daily. This rotates your stores, as well as you get practice in using your emergency food. There's the added benefit that you are using food you bought 1 or 2 years ago at a reduced price. And if something happens, like you get hurt or lose your job, at least you would not have to worry about the cost of food. First, one of my philosophies on food storage. I'm not one to go and purchase the 30-day to 90-day freeze-dried food stores advertised on TV. If you look at what you get, you will find that you only get, if you're lucky, about 10 to 20 different entrees. If you think about it, you will get very tired of the food because there will be a limited variety to pick from. You will be eating the same things over and over again. However, if you have components and not full meals, you will be able to create a greater variety of meals. My second philosophy on food storage, I want each item of food I store to be able to do many different things. No one-trick ponies here, or not very many. Example, if I have a home canned jar of ground beef, what can I use this for? Make a meatloaf, filling for tacos, or any casserole that uses ground beef. Even make a hamburger. When Taco Bell first opened, they only sold tacos, basic bean burritos, a cup of refried beans, and a Bell burger. They took a hamburger bun, put a scoop of the taco meat on it, and added the same diced onion, shredded lettuce, and cheese they used for their tacos, and topped that off with their red burrito sauce. It wasn't too bad. If I have a home canned jar of beef stew, there are very few things I can use that for, except as beef stew. My third philosophy on food storage, have more of an item that can be used for many things. I have more stores of home canned and freeze-dried ground beef than I have of freeze-dried hamburger patties. I have many more options with the ground beef than with the hamburger patties, although the patties make it easy to make a hamburger on a bun. Of course, I bake the bun. And my fourth philosophy on food storage, always have some quick and easy meal options on hand. I know, this goes against my previous 3 philosophies on one-trick pony food storage. This is useful when all of a sudden it's mealtime and you need something quick. This is where that can of stew, chili, or SpaghettiOs comes in handy. But this should not be your main type of food supplies. You also need to have the components to make some of your favorite or comfort foods. For a moment, during that comfort food meal, it can take you away from the problems of your emergency. Remember, you want to thrive, not just survive. Store home or store-bought canned foods at your bug-out location. When you do your planning, you will find it difficult to bring enough food with you without pre-storing food at your bug-out location. Remember, you do not know how long the incident will last, so overplan. You should have a stock of canned vegetables, fruits, beans, meats, and pasta sauces. For those quick meals, have soups, stews, refried beans, etc. You really need to learn how to pressure can your own foods. More on this in our All About Preservation series. On the dry side, you definitely need wheat, flour, rice, dry beans, dry pasta, popcorn, green coffee beans, ramen noodles, and sugar. Before learning to pressure can, you absolutely need to learn to bake your own bread and rolls. It is not that hard. If I can do it, anybody can. We will cover this in future nets. You could have some dehydrated foods. These are great for those stews and soups you want to make. Dehydrated foods need time to rehydrate, and cooking them slowly and hot does just that. Dehydrated fruits are great to eat without rehydrating, and they are great to use in baking. Dehydrating your own food is the least expensive way for you to preserve food, and we will cover more about this in the All About Preservation series. You can't dehydrate all foods. Here are some you can, like corn, green beans, peas, onions, celery, peppers, and potatoes, and fruits like apples, pears, bananas, peaches, etc. No meat, no liquids, no soups, no stews, no casseroles, etc. You can dehydrate spices like basil, mint, and the like. Dehydrating foods tends to shrivel them, and its texture is very tough, or even hard. Now we come to my favorite classification of food, freeze drying. You should have more freeze-dried foods than the other classifications of food. It doesn't weigh much, which is good for bugging out. You can freeze-dry many more types of foods than the other classifications. Preparation is usually fast, as all you need to do to bring most foods back is add water and wait a bit. The wait could be from 1 minute to 20 minutes, depending on the density of the food. I just used some freeze-dried 1-inch cut beef cubes for a casserole I made. I put the beef cubes in a bowl, added water to cover, and waited 15 minutes. The meat came back just as it was when I first pulled it out of the oven in 2014. Yep, 11 years ago. The meat was tender and delicious. There are foods you should just eat in its freeze-dried form, like radishes, cabbage, olives, cucumber, marshmallows, Skittles, ice cream, and corn. Yes, freeze-dried corn is a great snack. And speaking of snacks, how about apples, pears, peaches, bananas, grapes, melons, and flavored yogurt? The apples, pears, peaches, and all pie fillings can be used rehydrated in your baking. There are foods you can freeze-dry that you wouldn't think you could. How about raw eggs, scrambled eggs, sour cream, cream cheese, minced garlic, half and a half, tomato sauce, tomato paste, cooked rice, soups, cooked pudding, applesauce, many types of shredded cheeses, and as mentioned before, flavored yogurt? Way too many to mention here. There are some food items that you can't freeze dry, such as anything with a lot of fat in it, such as salami, sausage, and other processed meats, or bacon, mayonnaise, shortening, or butter. However, you can home can many of those. I have home-canned pepperoni, bacon, and butter. Learn how to make your own mayonnaise or other items from your stores. You can freeze-dry milk, but I prefer to home-can milk instead. I actually prefer to use a whole milk powder called El Nido for my normal milk use, and 2% powdered milk for use in my baking. You can purchase sealed 5-gallon buckets of 2% powdered milk. This is the reason why you need a combination of the different food classifications, as you can't preserve every type of food by one method. We will cover more about home freeze-drying in the All About Preservation topic later on, with a breakdown of how soon a home freeze-dryer will pay for itself. As you can see, if you will be bugging out, it is very advantageous to have a bug-out location where you can pre-position your food stores. If you have any questions about the food classifications discussed last week or what you heard tonight, please ask during the roundtable. Or send your question to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line, as we cannot cover everything here on the net due to limited time. I also urge you to view the expanded presentation on our YouTube channel for additional information on the topic. Next week, we'll finish the All About Food series with how I use my food preps to give you food for thought, no pun intended, on what you might want to stock up on.